In August 1920, a treaty signed at Sèvres, France promised an autonomous Kurdish region with a path to full independence if its people voted for it. 3 years later, a second treaty replaced the first, and every word of that promise was gone. Today, an estimated 30 to 45 million Kurds live spread across 4 countries, the largest ethnic group in the world without a state of their own. No one ever redrew the map to give them one. Kurds are indigenous to a mountainous region straddling modern Turkey, Iraq, Iran, and Syria, with a distinct language and culture older than any of the 4 states that now divide them. No reliable census counts them precisely, since several of those states have historically discouraged or restricted Kurdish self-identification altogether. Only one of the 4, Iraq, currently grants its Kurdish population a formally recognized autonomous government, the Kurdistan Regional Government, established after the 1991 Gulf War and written into Iraq's constitution in 2005. In the other 3 countries, the same nation lives under considerably less recognition, ranging from limited cultural rights to, at times, armed conflict with the central government. 1920. The Treaty of Sèvres promises Kurdish autonomy and an eventual independence referendum. 1923, the Treaty of Lausanne, negotiated by the new Turkish Republic under Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, replaces Sèvres entirely and drops every Kurdish provision. 1946, a short-lived Kurdish Republic in Mahabad in Iran collapses within a year. 1978, the Kurdistan Workers' Party, the PKK, is founded in Turkey. Armed conflict from 1984 onward eventually kills over 40,000 people. 1988, Iraqi government forces gas the Kurdish town of Halabja, killing thousands in a single chemical attack. 1991, after the Gulf War, a Western-enforced no-fly zone allows Kurdish self-rule to take root in northern Iraq for the first time. 2014, Kurdish forces in Syria, the YPG, become a key ground partner for the United States against ISIS, and a semi-autonomous Kurdish administration takes shape in Syria's northeast. September 25, 2017, Kurdistan region voters in Iraq back independence by over 92%. Within 3 weeks, Iraqi federal forces retake Kirkuk, and most of the territory Kurdish fighters had gained fighting ISIS. 2019, following a U.S. troop withdrawal announcement, Turkey launches a military operation against Kurdish-held areas of northern Syria. For Kurdish nationalists, the story starts with a promise made and broken within 3 years. Sèvres offered a path to statehood, and Lausanne erased it before a single Kurdish state ever existed, splitting one people across 4 new borders they had no vote in drawing. Everything since in this frame is a repeating pattern: language bans, cultural suppression, and a chemical weapons attack at Halabja that Kurds mark as their defining national trauma. The more recent pattern looks familiar too. Kurdish fighters served as the most effective ground force against ISIS in both Iraq and Syria, at real cost in casualties, and in both cases found the partnership didn't outlast its usefulness. Baghdad moved on Kirkuk within weeks of the 2017 vote, and Washington's 2019 withdrawal announcement opened the door to a Turkish offensive against the very Syrian Kurdish force that had done most of the ground fighting. The 2017 referendum's 92% in this telling wasn't rejected by anyone Kurdish. It simply wasn't backed by anyone with the power to enforce it. Turkey's own foreign ministry states its core position on this issue directly. The PKK is a terrorist organization, full stop, and no cause justifies its violence in a country where, in the ministry's words, all legal and democratic means for the prevalence of justice are open to everyone. Turkey points to roughly a third of its own parliament being of Kurdish origin as evidence that Kurdish political participation inside Turkey's existing system is real, not symbolic. From Ankara's perspective, the danger isn't Kurdish identity or culture, it's armed separatism, and any autonomous Kurdish force near Turkey's borders, including Syria's YPG, is treated as functionally linked to the PKK regardless of the local political label attached to it. Turkey's 2019 operation in northern Syria was framed not as an attack on Kurdish civilians, but as a security response to an armed group Ankara had already spent decades fighting inside its own territory. Here's the number that should have mattered and functionally didn't: 92.7%. That's not a narrow mandate. It's about as close to unanimous as a real vote gets. And within 3 weeks of that landslide, the Kurdistan region didn't gain independence. It lost Kirkuk, one of the most valuable pieces of territory its own fighters had taken from ISIS, to the same federal government the referendum had just voted to leave. A vote that, overwhelming in almost any other context in this series, would be treated as the whole argument. Here, it wasn't even the deciding factor. The deciding factor was which side had an army nearby willing to act on the result, and which side didn't. Last episode, a referendum result surprised everyone about who actually wanted the status quo. This one shows the harder edge of the same mechanism. A vote doesn't enforce itself. 92% of a population saying yes changed nothing on the ground within a month because the number itself has no army, and everyone with an actual army nearby had their own reasons not to accept it. Maybe the through line across this whole run of episodes is the same fact wearing different clothes. A guarantee, a word, a seat at the table, an admission, an apology, a landslide vote. None of them do anything by themselves. Something only becomes real when someone with the power to act on it decides that this time it's still convenient too. A treaty that promised a homeland, replaced within 3 years by one that didn't, and a 93% vote that lost territory instead of gaining a country. Next time, we go back to a single summer in Beijing, where 8 foreign armies invaded one empire at once, officially to rescue their own diplomats, and stayed considerably longer than the rescue required.